Hi again, this is Eric Bjornstad and here with another edition of the Bell Performance video blog. Today we're going to talk about an issue we touched on back in April. April was National Car Care Month. If you got emails from Bell Performance, which many of you do, you will have gotten the announcements that we had a guide to taking care of your older vehicle. Now that's still up on the Bell Performance website for anybody who wants to access it. We figured it was an appropriate thing to put together and offer to people during National Car Care Month. One of the things that we talked about, which is something that is kind of overlooked by a lot of people, is the importance of keeping your coolant system healthy, keeping your car's coolant system in proper working order. James Dunst here at Bell Performance is a master mechanic, and he will tell you when he had his shop here in Florida, one of the most common things he saw, people coming in with busted cooling systems because they did not take care of them. Now, a coolant system for a lot of consumers is a little bit of what they call a black box. You know that it works, but you don't know how it works. And if you don't know how it works, then you won't know how it, you won't know the potential for what can go wrong with it, and it won't be important to you on what you need to do to keep it healthy. So, we're not going to explain exactly how the coolant system, we will explain the kind of things that can go wrong with it. The biggest thing is that you keep your coolant changed at the proper intervals. That's the kind of the biggest thing that you can do to take care of your coolant system. Now, how often you should do this depends on, like many things, depends on your car's owner's manual. And there's, depending on what make, model of vehicle you have, there could be a wide difference in when you should replace your coolant. For example, my wife and I have a Honda Pilot, and the Honda Pilot actually says that you do not need to change your coolant for the first 100,000 miles. Well, that's great. Cars didn't used to be that way. Let's say that we didn't change our coolant for 150, 160,000 miles. What would happen to that coolant? Well, the coolant is gonna, because through age, eventually it's gonna break down. And when it breaks down, the ethylene glycol in it will start producing acidic substances, acids. So it's gonna turn the pH of the coolant is going to turn acid. That's going to start eating away at the various metal parts that are in your coolant system, whether it's your radiator or other metal parts. And what happens is that when you get an acidic environment with the coolant, it actually creates electrically charged coolant. Now, talking about basic chemistry, to get an electrical charge, you actually need, if you have two or more kinds of metals present, well then you're much more likely to get an electrical charge. When you have either an iron or an aluminum engine block, and then you have the copper or the aluminum in the radiator, well, you've got the things that are necessary to make an electrical charge. Now, acidic environment making an electrical charge, this electrical charge has to go somewhere. It's constantly looking for ground, just like it would be if it was coming from a battery or something. And in practice, what this does is that this accelerates the corrosion of other parts of the coolant system. And so you get corrosion, you get damaged a radiator, you get leaks, you get corroded freeze plugs, things like that. And that makes it much more likely that when you're driving down the road, you're going to get a coolant leak. If you get a coolant leak, a catastrophic one, you could have a catastrophic engine overheat, and it could cause serious damage to your engine block. Now, there are aluminum engine blocks and there are cast iron engine blocks. Cars today being lighter, more fuel efficient, in order to get fuel efficiency, you have to decrease the weight of the car. This means you're more likely to have an aluminum engine block. And the problem with aluminum engine blocks, good thing is they're lightweight. Bad thing is that once they get overheated even one time, they get warped, they will never recover. Cast iron ones in older cars are much better able to absorb and transmit and then recover from that excessive heat than the aluminum blocks are. Another thing that could happen, depending on what area of your engine is damaged is that you could have antifreeze leaking into the oil. This is very bad for the engine. Antifreeze leaking into the oil will destroy the oil's ability to provide proper lubrication, and anyone who knows anything knows that if your oil can't lubricate properly, you're going to have serious engine damage in a very short period of time. So, bottom line is, especially if you have an older car, you have to take care of your coolant system. You have to, at a minimum, you have to obey the guidelines that are in your car's owner's manual. So if your car's overdue for that service, it is very much in your best interest to go have your antifreeze and coolant system serviced. So anyway, that's the word from Bell Performance. Thanks for joining me today for the Bell Performance video blog, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.